Hey guys, so I'm here at the Channel 13 NBC for Wyoming facilities. It's here in Casper, and they asked to interview some of us for Wyoming Virtual Academy. So I think Mrs. Schultz and Mrs. Einot, myself, and then I think one of our families is going to be interviewed as well, one of the students and parents. So I thought while I was here, I would make a little field trip by talking to the reporter that's interviewing us and how they make some of their news stories and stuff like that. So he took me through some of their broadcast facility, and after we finished our interview, and we'll see how that goes. You won't see this field trip until after they share the news story all over the state on the NBC channel for Wyoming, but they are broadcasting it this Thursday, which again will be in the past by the time you see this. Okay, so what's your name?
I'm Will Thomas, and I'm a reporter with Wyoming News Now here in Casper, Wyoming.
Awesome. So kind of what are the basics of what you do here?
For the most part, you try to find something going on in the community that's, newsworthy, that around the community that people would like to, hear about. And then you kind of go cover it. You make phone calls, talk to people, build relationships is something I'd say probably is the biggest part of being a journalist. The easiest way to find a story is to be in touch with people who are in the community and building relationships with them. And besides that, it's a lot of research and typing in scripts and putting together video is pretty much the gist of it.
Okay. What's some basic equipment we have sitting here that you want
Yeah, so right here we got our camera. It's a Sony camera, and up top here is our little receiver, because we like to use the wireless mics. It makes it easier than trailing a big old cord up to your interviewee.
Mm-hmm.
So you hook this on and just make sure they're on the same channel, and then always, and the biggest thing with video on an interview especially is making sure you make sure it sounds good with the headset. So, nothing's worse than going back to a video with an interviewee and noticing that something's distorted with the video, or it didn't even pick up any of the video.
Yeah.
So it's always a pretty disheartening call to have to call back someone you just interviewed and say, hey, I didn't catch any of that on my video. Can I come interview you again?
Do it all again.
So that's the one thing. And then we got our tripod here, which is basically the backbone of the camera. Without that, everything would be shook up depending on how good of, I would say, hand-eye coordination, or it just keeps everything balanced, which is so crucial for any kind of shot.
Good still photo. So once you gather some video and audio, what do you do with it?
Yeah, so we go right here. We open up our camera. We have our little SD cards. Pull these out, and then we take them over to the computer. Just pop them right in the computer, and all that video is going to show up. So the biggest thing is making sure we save it to our desktop and get everything on there so it's actually on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is, like, you're busy, you're really quick, you're trying to hit a deadline, but the minute you take your SD card out, all that video you just shot was on here, so it pulls out, so no longer on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that's big about just, checking your gear, I think is like the biggest part about being a journalist, besides, building relationships, always checking your gear though.
So with that video, does somebody else edit it up and get it ready to show?
No, we all do that ourselves as well. Most people are multimedia journalists now, which kind of just is a fancy word for you shoot, write, and edit all your own work, and then you also can write web stories if needed. And every time we shoot a video, we are pretty much, we want to put it online because, some people can't watch the news. The easiest way to get it out there is to post it online on our website, and that's kind of how we also get it out there.
So tell the kids how you got into this.
Basically just loved sports and just news, mainly sports growing up. So once I kind of realized I wasn't going to be a D1 athlete, I went the next route to be up close and personal. And throughout college, sports stories are very you don't always get to cover, especially off season and stuff like that. So you start to work, becoming a journalist. If you want to be a journalist, you can't. Well, you can eventually, and work towards what you want to have a specific focus on. But being a journalist is also being, flexible with being able to cover news stories, politics, anything. So while I was in school, I covered 90% things that had nothing to do with sports. Mm-hmm. So coming out of college, it definitely built more of an appreciation for just journalism and the news for me, and I've been interested in it ever since. So end goal is definitely to be a sports reporter, but I do love pretty much reporting on anything going on in the community as well.
What advice do you have for kids in high school at Wyoming Virtual Academy if they're interested in maybe pursuing this?
I would say just try to get involved, with local newspaper or just anything that can get you exposed to the news. I would suggest getting a subscription to, a news source so you're always keeping up with what's going on. Writing, I'd say getting involved in the community. I think, like I said, the best thing is just building relationships with people, because once you do that, they're going to be very open to speaking with you, about something that's going on, and there's always something going on, in the news. So there's always a story somewhere. So I would just suggest getting just involved anywhere you can.
Okay, cool. So once you got into college, what did you major in and study to get into this line of work?
So I majored in broadcast journalism. A lot of schools, it's usually a Bachelor of Science and in communications, and then the focus is broadcast journalism. So you kind of work your way towards it with like you start doing like many you kind of get all your electives done in the start of college, and then you focus straight on into journalism classes. A lot of the time they take you through print first, and then you move towards like data journalism, and then after that you start moving towards actually working with cameras and video. And you take like your first semester, you do like 1 or 2 news stories just to see, to get you exposed and ready. And then usually the following 2 semesters you're a journalist. They tell you, hey, go find a story and report on it. And then a lot of schools have their own news station, which is nice, and they also have like their own radio station, which is what I also got involved with the radio station. And then usually your capstone for your final semester is working with the news show that's usually sponsored by the university.
Cool. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So this is the newsroom.
This is where all of our equipment is, right here. A little messy, but we have our camera bags, which usually have everything in there that you need. But biggest thing, like I said, is checking it before you go, And then right here is our TVU, which if we want to report live, which we try to do at least probably 3 to 5 times a week, we'll plug that into our camera, and then we'll call our production team. We actually broadcast out of Cheyenne, so call them, make sure that we have a good shot, and go from there.
Cool.
Yeah. We got 3 screens just because we're like writing our script here. Right here we'll edit the video in our little Edius Pro, which is our editing software. You can have Edius or there's Adobe Premiere, and open that bad boy up, and right here is where we edit, and then we'll drag all of our video right here so you have the ability to see it, and then we'll bring it all over.
Pretty cool. And you learn how to do all this in your college courses?
Usually your college, I learned with Adobe Premiere, which is why, but all the editing softwares are pretty similar to each other, so it's tomato usually. So just training, once you get started in training, you usually get the hang of everything. So I'm getting there.
Cool. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed that field trip and meeting with Will Thomas, the reporter here. Grateful to him for putting Wyoming Virtual Academy on the news and for taking the time to make this field trip with us, taking a little bit of time out of his day here in Casper, Wyoming. So hope you enjoyed it. See ya.